But first, now for sheer unadulterated political sport, which I enjoy immensely, most of us will be looking very closely to the contest for the federal seat of Eden Monaro. And hasn't it started with a bang? Senior State Liberal Minister Andrew CONSTANCE has declared his position today and will have a shot at federal politics in the race to replace retiring Labor MP Mike Kelly.
I am going to be seeking pre-selection for the Liberal Party for the federal seat of Eden Monaro. It comes at a time when it's fair to say our community has been put through catastrophe after catastrophe, and it's time that we look very hard and long at how we're going to get through the challenges that beset us.
Andrew CONSTANCE is the New South Wales Transport Minister. He's been the member for Bega in that region for 17 years. I remember too that after the bushfires and after neighbours of his were adversely affected, lost their homes, he told Alan on radio he was walking away from politics.
I mean, I've said before, I'm just going to do the recovery and then I'm going to resign because, this changes you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it changes you, mate. Like, it really just makes you realise politicians can expend too much energy on the internal machinations and forget why they're elected. And we've seen that. We see it time and time again. And out in community land, they're bewildered.
All of that moral realisation has kind of vanished into thin air. He's now decided, yes, to walk away from state politics, but to have a crack at a federal seat. And if he thinks they're a little bit on the up and on the level in Canberra, he's got another thing coming. But here was a guy, Andrew CONSTANCE, that some shrewd commentators were saying after the bushfires would be the next New South Wales Premier. Now, Deputy Premier John Barilaro pulled out of the race yesterday, as you may know. More on that decision and his attack today on the federal leader in a second. But we're told today that Liberal Senator Jim Molan won't run against Mr CONSTANCE for pre-selection. It looks like a race between Andrew CONSTANCE and Labor's Kirsty McBain. Now, should I say Christy McBain? It is riveting stuff because a government hasn't snatched a seat from the opposition at a by-election in 100 years. The date for the by-election has not been set. That's dependent on the relaxation of social distancing rules. Of course, if we had fully online electronic voting, similar to the way we move money between banks and pay bills, that wouldn't be a drama. But we're still using lead pencils. Anyway, watch this space. Both major parties have believable and genuine candidates, and it'll be tight. But the first round in this political sport came not from Andrew CONSTANCE and his declaration today that he'll run, but from the man who stepped aside for his friend, Nationals leader in New South Wales, John Barilaro. Now, he unleashed an extraordinary attack on Deputy PM, federal Nationals leader Michael McCormick. He's not the first, you know. Now, my colleague here at Sky News, Andrew Clennell, obtained an explosive series of text messages sent by Barilaro to McCormick last night. He wrote, "Don't hide behind the members will choose the candidate rubbish, as you were the only one saying such lines. To feel threatened by me clearly shows you have failed your team and failed as a leader. You will never be acknowledged by me as our leader. You aren't. You never will be. The Nats had a chance to create history," he wrote, "to change momentum, and you had a candidate that was prepared to risk everything to make it happen. What did you risk? Nothing. Hope you are proud of yourself." That's what you call bang crash wallet, Batman. Maybe the media last week conjuring up the possibility of John Barilaro winning the seat and being quickly elevated to federal leader of the National Party spooked Michael McCormick. Maybe he sniffed a gang up between Barilaro and Barnaby Joyce. Was that ever really on? Now, in reply, Michael McCormick emphasised how the branches were the only ones who had the right to endorse him. But he could have been more supportive. He could have been warmer. And John Barilaro has a huge ego. And what Michael McCormick didn't say last week and over the weekend would not have impressed him at all. But it's further evidence of how much on the nose Michael McCormick is among the ranks of his colleagues in the National Party, even outside of Canberra. And as for any workable relationship between the two men over the problems besetting the Murray-Darling Basin Agreement, well, you can forget it. Two egos have just clashed, and although it's great sport for us onlookers, for those farmers, many of you who are watching, who want changes to your water allocations to survive, read it as a complete derailment. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister was saying as little as possible.
Did the Deputy Prime Minister raise any concerns with you that John Barilaro would cause problems for him in federal parliament, and are you concerned this Nationals infighting occurring now will affect the government's chances in Eden Monaro?
No and no.
He may just have enough on his plate right now.